in order to get that, we start our reasoning from this known formula of probability. So the probability of the random variable x, such that x is between two values a and b, is simply equal to the integral from a to b of the probability density function f of x d of x. Now, in order to establish the relation between f of x and g of y, there is something that we should at first understand, which is called, there is a formula for integration by substitution, which goes like this. This is important to understand this proof. So the integral from a to b of a function, let me call it another function, or I think it's not a problem. Let's keep it f of x d of x, can also be written in this way. So I'm going to write here f of x of y multiplied by d of x of y divided by d of y multiplied by d of y. In here, in the limits, we have y of a and y of b. So I'm going to explain the meaning of this formula. So this formula is just to find the integral of some complex integrals using a technique that is called variable transformation or variable substitution. So let me give you an example to understand what I'm talking about. So let's say you have this integral. Let's say you have the integral from 0 to square root of half of pi, the integral of 2x cosine of x squared d of x. So this integral is quite difficult to be done directly. So one of the techniques to solve this integral is integration by substitution. We just apply this formula. So what we want to do here is to define a variable y with respect to x. So here there is, of course, some tricks to find what variable, what term we should assign to this y, because this y should get one term from this function right here. So now one of the tricks is to take the term with the highest exponent, which is in this case x raised to the power of 2. So this is y of x. This is y of x, or the new variable. Now what I want to do next is to conclude x with respect to y, which is just the square root of y. So since I have this now, I can apply this formula right here. So this becomes the integral of 2 square root of y cosine of So square root of y raised to the power of 2 is y, multiplied by d of x of y, which is d of square root of y divided by d of y. That's it, and multiplied by d of y. So this is equal to 1 divided by 2 square root of y, and this term shall be cancelled out with this term, and we end up with the integral of cosine of y d of y, which is quite easy to calculate. There's one thing that I forgot here, which is the limits of the integral. So the limit of the integral here should be 0, and this should be pi divided by 2. Pi divided by 2, which is y of b. And this is equal to y of a. That's it. So I hope the idea now is clear about the integration by substitution.